File item 56, pass and retain. Moving to file item 57, that's AB 987. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 987 by Assemblymember Levine, an act relating to employment.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 987 clarifies existing law that protects workers from retaliation or discrimination when they request a disability or religious accommodation. A recent court decision raises the question of whether existing law fully protects workers from retaliation when a worker requests these accommodations. As a result, workers now too often keep quiet and are afraid to make such requests. AB 987 clarifies current law by explicitly prohibiting an employer from retaliating against a worker for requesting reasonable disability or religious accommodations, regardless of whether the accommodation request was granted. This bill passed out of committee unanimously. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. Measure passes. File items 58 and 59, pass and retain. Moving to file item 60, that's ACR 52. Clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 52 by Assemblymember Frazier, relative to distracted driving.
Mr. Frazier, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. ACR 52 proclaims April 2015 as Distracted Driving Awareness Month and calls for awareness of the dangers of distracted driving. ACR 52 further calls for the support of programs and policies to reduce the incidence of distracted driving. Every day, 9 people are killed and over 1,000 people are hurt in crashes where distractions such as using a cell phone, texting, and eating were reported as cause. In 2013, the California Department of Motor Vehicles reported over 426,000 handheld cell phone and texting convictions, with more than 50,000 tickets issued in April alone. And the Highway Patrol continues to write more than 12,000 cell phone tickets every month. According to the latest data from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, nationwide in 2013, 3,154 people were killed and an estimated additional 424,000 were injured in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. 5 seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting. When you're traveling 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to cover the length of a football field blindfolded. I ask the roll be open for co-authors, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, Mr. Frazier is asking the first roll be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. This is to add as co-authors on ACR 52. This is for co-authors, members. Clerk will close the roll. There are 70 co-authors added on ACR 52. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Moving to the consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 879 by Assemblymember Burke, an act relating to juveniles.
The clerk will open the roll on the second-day consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 77, no 0. The consent calendar is adopted. The clerk will read the remaining bills on the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 1444.
Ayes 77, no 0.
And Assembly Bill 323.
Ayes 77, no 0. Moving to announcements and adjournments in memory. I understand Mr. Levine, before he exits, is celebrating a birthday today. Let's wish Mr. Levine a very happy birthday. Announcements. Assemblywoman Burke. Assemblymember Burke, you are recognized for your announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. On behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus, I am happy to announce that Wednesday, April 29th is Denim Day, and members and staff are encouraged to wear jeans in recognition of Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Denim Day, California.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Mr. Alejo. We'll come back to Mr. Alejo. Mr. Cooley. If the members could give Mr. Cooley a little bit of room. Members.
Do an adjourn in memory here, bud.
Mr. Cooley, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Colleagues, I rise today to adjourn in memory of Robert Ling, who is the owner of Rancho Cordova's local Grapevine newspaper, the Grapevine Independent, for more than 2 decades. And my sons, who are in their 30s, learned about business, learned about responsibility as paper carriers for Mr. Ling's newspaper. Mr. Ling passed away on Sunday, April 12th, in Rancho Murieta in the 8th Assembly District at the age of 83. He was born in Akron, Ohio, and was raised in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, where he started his first job as a newspaper carrier. And he had the occasion as a young newspaper carrier to have on his route a young singer, not yet well known, Frank Sinatra. And Frank Sinatra's song, My Way, later became the headline for Mr. Ling's decades-long column in his local newspaper. He was a gifted athlete. He played football at Michigan State University, and he earned his bachelor's degree in journalism there at Michigan State. But then the Korean War came along, and Mr. Ling responded to the call of his country. He served a decorated tour of duty in Korea as a lieutenant in the United States Army and earned a Purple Heart and 2 other medals from that service in the Korean War. It was also followed by a stint of service in Japan, where he was joined by his college sweetheart, Lois Fisher, whom he married, and she survives him, living in Rancho Cordova. On completion of his military service, Mr. Ling settled with his wife Lois in Marquette, Michigan, where he built a successful food business and served on the city commission and many times as mayor. And so he was a champion of Rancho Cordova during the period in which we became a city. As a local newspaper publisher, believing in cityhood, he championed cityhood. They raised 5 children and opened their home as well to Jose Madrigal, one of the Pedro Pan youth refugees from Cuba, who they supported through high school and on through college. At the time my city was formed, I was able to put together a presentation entitled First Draft of History, which had all the different headlines of the Grapevine Independent, Mr. Ling's paper, that over a span of years led to support for our becoming a city. He was dedicated sports fan, loved the Michigan State University Spartans. He enjoyed playing many sports, generally shared his time as a coach and countless youth teams from Little League baseball to hockey. In the city of Rancho Cordova, he served in various leadership positions, including chair of the board of the Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce, president of the Rancho Cordova Rotary Club, and of the Rancho Murieta Association, and was twice honorary mayor in Rancho Cordova. He is survived by his wife of 63 years, Lois Ling, his children, Shelley Blanchard, Robert Ling Jr., Amy Plumtree, Patricia Hyder, Beth Usher. He has 17 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren, and he will be greatly missed. He was laid to rest this morning in Dixon, California, at the National Cemetery just in the last few hours. And I'm honored to adjourn in his memory today. Robert Ling, Sr.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Mr. Alejo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to adjourn in memory of a beloved Santa Cruz community motivator and supporter, Roberta J. Dodge, who is the mother of my good friend and my district field representative, Daniel Dodge, Sr. Born in Salinas in 1929, Roberta was raised in the Pajaro Valley during the Great Depression, and she graduated from Watsonville High in 1997 and later married her classmate, Bill Dodge. During the 1950s, they both moved to Santa Cruz, where they raised their family, and she was a constant presence in not only all her children's activities, but also in the Santa Cruz community as well. She's a devoted fan of the Santa Cruz High's basketball and baseball teams. She provided statistical analysis and served as an official scorer for the Cardinals girls softball team. She also worked with as a clerk in the Santa Cruz County Elections Office and was instrumental in establishing the vote-by-mail system, aiding others during the election season. She was also heavily supported her son, Daniel Sr., throughout his time serving as mayor for my hometown, the city of Watsonville. As a dedicated member of the Vintage Faith community, she also worked diligently in helping it flourish. But she also enjoyed being of service to others by giving back to her community, fully embracing the pillars of public service and kinship. Roberta passed away on April 14th at the age of 85, and she's survived by her husband, Bill, two children, 4 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. She'll be missed dearly by all her family, but her memory and her presence will continue to be felt throughout the community. I ask that we adjourn today in the memory of one of California's finest citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized at your desk for your adjournment in memory.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, members, earlier this month, we lost a great leader and a pillar of the Sikh community in my district when we lost Bhupinder Singh, also known as Sonny Kalkat. Sonny was taken from us way too young at 46 years of age. And Sonny was a great friend of mine and someone who was always very community-minded. Grew up in Live Oak, California, and he migrated originally from India to the city of Live Oak, where he ended up being valedictorian of Live Oak High School and moved on to a successful academic career at Chico State and then UC Davis. Upon graduation, Sonny worked with his family farm and was very successful in expanding his family's farm as well as his own endeavors, starting several new businesses on his own. He was also a graduate of the prestigious California Ag Leadership Program, and his efforts to improve our beloved state expanded beyond his farm and his influence in his world. He also expanded that into philanthropic work and touched numerous lives as he set up a fund to help patients in his county who could not afford expensive medications. He also often donated substantial amounts of money to pay for surgeries of members of the community that could not afford such surgeries. He didn't use the success, he didn't just rest on the success that he had, he used that to help others. And what I remember most about Sonny is that grin that he would always greet you with. And you knew that he would always have something positive and substantive and motivational to say to you. I knew I could count on Sonny to give me a bad time, but he'd also bring me up. Individuals like Sonny, whose willpower and resilience helps them achieve success, make California a great state to live in. His compassion and willingness to help those in need is surpassed by a very few, if not none, and he will be dearly missed by all who knew him. He should always be remembered as the caring, understanding, and cheerful person that he always was. And therefore today, members, with a heavy heart, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Bhupinder Singh, Sonny Kalkat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Dr. Weber, you are recognized from your desk.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, I rise today to ask that you adjourn in memory of a very dear friend and a dynamic woman in the name of Verna Lee St. Clair King, who passed away on April the 18th, 2015, just 2 days before her 99th birthday. Verna King was born on April 20th in 1916 in Berwick, Louisiana. She was the 11th of 12 children. Born during a time of tremendous segregation and discrimination in Louisiana, her family still struggled hard to make sure that their children were properly educated. And Verna earned her bachelor's degree from Wiley College in Texas, and eventually her master's degree from San Diego State. She married her love of her life, Alonzo King, and they had 5 children, and they remained married for over 50 years until his death. Verna moved to San Diego in 1942 as a resident of a community called Valencia Park that still exists today. And she remained in that community as an active and vibrant resident for over 60 years. And in fact, she was sparked into her activism because in 1944, 2 years after moving to Valencia Park, being an active voter and an activist coming out of the South, she volunteered her home in Valencia Park, which still stands today as a beautiful home, volunteered her home as a polling place because no one else would. The residents or the members of her community were so enraged that a black-owned home would be chosen as the polling place that they forced the Registrar of Voters of San Diego to relocate the polls to a more acceptable location. In 1944, that sparked Verna King into a high level of activism that she remained active from that day forward. She probably has met every president that has been a president since 1944. She's known all of the presidents and met with all of them at some point in time as an activist in the Democratic Party and on behalf of the people of San Diego. She spent over 70 years serving on the central committees and the various other local committees that were there. Verna King also was a charter member of the San Diego Council Democratic Women's Club to organize women in San Diego, and she supported all of us in our political aspirations in the San Diego community. She also became a charter member of the San Diego Democratic Club for Equality at a time when African Americans and others were concerned about supporting the LGBT community. Verna King stepped forward and was one of the most active participants and supporters of that organization, and they continue to offer a scholarship in her name to this day. She was an undergraduate at Fisk University also before going to Wiley. Verna King became a member of the AKAs, the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, in 1935. She was a charter member eventually of San Diego's chapter of the AKA, so everywhere she went, she was an organizer. And she was a charter member and eventually president of the AKAs. And she had served for 75 consecutive years as a member of the AKAs and received their Diamond Award after 75 years of service to the AKAs. Verna's life was one of tremendous contributions. She was also a teacher, an educator, and worked very hard at Memorial Junior High School, where she spent her entire career, over 40 years, as a teacher at Memorial. The interesting thing with Verna was always working to make the kids better. If there was a Emily Post, a black Emily Post, it would be Verna King, because she was busy teaching etiquette to every child in the Southeast community. She was the one who taught them the appropriate stance and dress for the AKA balls every year. She taught our children about eating and about serving and about being appropriate at occasions, because she was truly an entertainer extraordinaire when you went to her home. She did all charm classes for children in the community at a time when people did charm classes. And so Verna King was known as that person who was always well-dressed, well-prepared, taught our children how to walk, how to talk, how to present themselves. And so there are hundreds and hundreds of young people in San Diego indebted to Verna King for providing them with something they had very little interest in, but also very little opportunity for entrance. And she provided them a look into society itself and helped our young people to grow. Interestingly enough, not only was she politically active in terms of the Democratic Party, she was very involved with our Teachers Association. She was active with CTA and San Diego's Teachers Association and NEA and on and on and on, and went to all of the various conventions that were there, as well as active with the PTA and the various societies that exist in San Diego. She also was one of the charter members of one of the oldest civic clubs in San Diego that just celebrated its 50th anniversary, called Women Incorporated. And this was a group of African-American professional women 50 years ago who founded an organization to celebrate the African-American women in that community and to welcome new professional families to the city of San Diego. Verna was one of the charter members. As she was interviewed by the Union Tribune, she says, "I've always said I wanted to save the world, change it a little bit for the better." She said, "I like to think that after all this time, I might have put a little dent in it, and that I might have done some good." Verna has done a lot of good. She impacted the lives of all of us. We often talk about the fact that black women work so hard in this country, that they're the mules because they carry the burden that nobody else wants to carry, that they truly are sturdy bridges that we've all crossed over on. And Verna King truly is one of those sturdy bridges that generations and generations have crossed over on. I would like to say that I'm sad today that Verna's passed, but at 99, that's a good time to go. At 99, it talks about a long legacy. And at 99, it means that all of us have enjoyed for a very long time the presence, the commitment, and the dedication of Verna St. Clair King. Thank you very much. I ask that we adjourn in her memory.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Members, please bring the names to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. The session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, April 28th, check-in session. Wednesday, April 29th, check-in session. Thursday, April 30th, floor session at 9 a.m. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Holden moves, Ms. Olson seconds, that this House stands adjourned until Thursday, April 30th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.